This video will explain how to download a simple dataset from an external source, how to install R packages for data importing, and how to import a downloaded dataset in Rstudio. So far, you learned how to create variables from everyday information using the C function and how to combine variables together into a dataset, known as a data frame in R, using the data frame function. In the real world, however, you do not always create the data you want to use. Instead, you often use datasets already created by others. For example, national governments publish datasets to help themselves and others make decisions and to inform the public. International organizations, such as the United Nations and the World Health Organization, release numerous datasets on their websites. Scholars and scientists collect and sometimes make available to the public their datasets, such as the World Value Survey, General Social Survey, and even your Twitter data. Businesses like Gallup, LexisNexis, Equifax, and Bloomberg specialize in collecting and selling data of various kinds. It is no exaggeration to say that we are beginning to be overwhelmed by data of different types and vast magnitude. Therefore, if you intend to distill valuable information from the data sets collected by others, learning to access them is essential. So in this video, you will learn exactly how to do that. So first, you know that you need to set up your RStudio project, and you learn this for easy navigation among your codes, R codes, R scripts, data, your homework assignments, images that you may want to include, and the results of your assignments, as well as reports in R Markdown. So in general, you would want to have all your downloaded external data to be stored in a separate folder. We call it data. And once you did that, you are ready to download an external data into your RStudio project. You may start with an easy example, and here we will use a Gapminder database. We'll download one of the datasets from the Gapminder database. So please navigate to gapminder.org and then navigate to the data section of the website. The Gapminder dataset contains more than 500 variables on economic, education, energy, environment, on economy, education, energy, environment, health, infrastructure, population, society, work, and so on for different countries in the world. You will learn how to download a small dataset as part of the database from this website. So once you navigated here, you can see all these different datasets that Gapminder has. And then we want to search. Let's suppose that you're interested in a variable related to billionaires. So search, and we can see that there are several data sets. And suppose that you would like to choose the average age of dollar billionaires data set. To download the data set for this variable, you can navigate to the right side and see that you can download this dataset either in CSV format or in Excel format. We will choose an Excel format and download this dataset. Then make sure that you save it in the data folder of your R project, RStudio project. External datasets, like the one you just downloaded from Gapminder, can be of various formats, such as XLS, as in our case, or CSV, comma-separated format, or TSV or tab-separated format, or in DTA, which stands for Stata format, or SAS, or SPSS. R can import datasets of numerous formats. To import datasets of these formats, R relies on various add-on packages. And what we need to do next is we need to install all these different packages. And you can either install it through tools, install packages, or if you have several packages to install, you may choose to run a line of code. And to do this, we need to create a new R script file, and then we could write install packages function. And here we need to write all the packages. I need to add one more. And so these are the 4 add-on R packages that we would like to install. Also, we choose the option dependencies equals true, and it asks that other packages that are necessary for running the listed 4 packages be installed as well. So now we will run this line of code, and it should install all the packages. You can import, now let's move to how you can import a downloaded dataset, this downloaded dataset into Rstudio. So once you install the packages, you can import an external dataset in 2 alternative ways. First is just simple point and click, and second, running some line of code. We will discuss these 2 methods in turn. So in your Rstudio project, navigate to your dataset, and with this point and click option, what you need to do, you need to click on this dataset, on the file name of the dataset, and you will see these 2 options. Then you need to choose the import dataset. And if you're working in Mac, then you just need to click on it once. And if you're working on PC, then you need to click twice. So then you will see the following pop-up. First, what you see, file URL, and here is the full file path or URL for the data file. Then there is a window for data preview, and this is the data that is stored in this file and which we would like to import into Rstudio. And then you can see various import options on the left-hand side and the code preview on the right-hand side, in the lower left, in the lower right area. Notice how Rstudio automatically identifies the long path to the downloaded data file under file URL. This is an advantage working with an Rstudio project. Also, notice that first rows, raw as names, and open data viewer are checked. And with the former indicating that the first row in the Excel file, this is the first row in the Excel file, contains variable names. And this latter, open data viewer, indicates that a spreadsheet-like data viewer will be opened when the dataset is imported. There are also other options such as name, sheet, range, max or skip, and NA. And for simplicity, we will keep the default options. Now, let's click on the import button in the lower right corner of the image. Then the dataset will be imported into R. And a spreadsheet-like data viewer, this is the spreadsheet-like data viewer, will show up on your screens. 2 issues are worth clarification. First, after the dataset is imported into R, in the upper right panel of Rstudio here, under Data, you will see a new tab for the dataset. Whenever you want to view the dataset in the data viewer here, you can click on that tab to open the viewer. Second, you do not have to import an external dataset into R through creating an Rstudio project. Here's how. After you download the external dataset into your computer, you can open File. You can open Rstudio first, then File, select Import Dataset. There will be a drop-down menu which asks what file type you would like to import from among the following list, right? Just choose whichever option that meets your file type. Then a new window will appear and you should click, let's say, in our case, it's Excel, and then the window will appear, File, import data cell from Excel. And then here you can browse, click Browse, and then let's say in our data, choose this file, open, and then you will see a familiar pop-up window. If your dataset is of any other format listed in this list, simply follow like Stata, for example, or SPSS or SAS. You just need to follow similar steps that I have just illustrated for data importing from the Excel file. As you probably noticed, when importing your Excel file into R, there was a small section labeled Code Preview. Let's see. So this one. Let's copy this. Let's The code provides another way for you to import data into R. And you can store this code by creating a new script. New file, script, and then you can paste these lines of code. Then you can run this code by highlighting it and pressing run. And what this line of code will do is just what we have just done by clicking on the file with data, Excel file with data. Let's look at this line of code. First of all, the library function loads the read Excel package that we installed earlier. Then the read Excel function reads a data set, which is named average age of $billionaires years XLS from the data folder. And the output of the function is assigned via the assignment symbol to a data frame named average age of $billionaires years. Note the forward slash linking the data folder, this slash, linking the data folder and the file name. Also note how the long file path and the file URL in the pop-up window during the importation of the dataset, so this long path, just note that that long path is not spelled out here in the code because you are working within Rstudio and your Rstudio project. Now, if you do not work within an Rstudio project, you can still import the downloaded dataset using an R program file. In this case, you will simply copy the whole file path under the file URL. So basically when you do, so this whole file path, and paste the whole file path into these quotation marks. in the parentheses to which for the read Excel function, inside the read Excel function. Now, this downloaded Excel file has only one datasheet, but it is common for an Excel file to have multiple Excel datasheets. To import a particular datasheet, simply use one of the following two options. The first one is to put comma after the file name inside the read Excel function, and then type the sheet number which you would like to import. So, for example, in this case, these would import datasheet 1. You may import any Excel datasheet by replacing the number 1 with any other number. So if we will run this line of code, what will happen is just the same data set will be downloaded into Rstudio, because this data set has only one Excel datasheet. Now, if your Excel datasheet has a specific name, then what you need to do is change this to that name of sheet. And don't forget to put comma after the file name inside the read Excel function. So we don't have it, so we just remove it for now. So you just learned two methods to import a downloaded dataset into R, either by point and click, so point and click pointing, and then clicking on the option import dataset, or running a line of code. Which one to use depends on personal preference. Point and click is easy and most appropriate for first-time R users. But it is not appropriate if you want to write an R program that not only imports data, but also carries out other tasks such as graphing and analyzing data, or if you want to keep such a program for future use by yourself or others. For the latter, running lines of code is more efficient, but it does require that you know what to write and how the code works. For first-time R users, the best solution is probably to start with point and click, and then copy and paste the code preview into an R script or program file. This is the approach I've just demonstrated. It is most useful when data formats other than Excel files are involved. So far, the example focused on the Excel data format. As mentioned, data sets could be in many formats. Without going into further details about those other data formats, you can use point and click to identify the lines of code in code preview, and then use the code for your R program.